Have you ever wondered where addiction comes from? Why it starts? What is it that causes people to incessantly need to change the way that they feel? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Chels Cora, and today I am talking about the true cause of addiction and alcoholism. And I'll give you a hint. It's actually the same thing that causes overeating, overspending, perfectionism, procrastination, depression, anxiety, constantly being attracted to emotionally unavailable people, codependency, and basically every single negative behavior or mindset pattern that we experience in our adult life. The root cause of addiction and all of the aforementioned behavioral and mindset patterns is childhood trauma. And what exactly is a trauma? A trauma is an unprocessed experience or emotion. So with that definition in mind, I'm sure you can imagine that no matter who you are, you had some trauma in your childhood. You had plenty of emotional experiences that went unprocessed. These can be things that as an adult we look at and don't really think of as a very big deal, to some of the more explicitly recognized traumas such as abuse or neglect. Examples of trauma include not getting attention as a child, wanting to be perceived and understood and cared for, and just not having that there. Maybe parents had multiple children and it wasn't possible for them to meet every single emotional need of the child, and so they were left behind sometimes unknowingly by the parent. Or perhaps having a parent who hasn't worked through their trauma can be very traumatic, because in that sense they're not very equipped to handle the emotional needs of the children. And unfortunately, this is the majority of household families in our culture today. Most people don't really know how to manage emotions or how to prevent trauma, because there is no education around this topic that has been normalized. Other examples could be growing up in a single parent household. Unfortunately, this is the case a lot in our modern culture. However, it's just not possible for all of our emotional needs to be met when we're growing up with only one caregiver. Other examples might include not being wanted, being the child of an unwanted pregnancy, even though there's no way to ever actually know this was the case. I mean, on a rational level, right? Your mom could lie and say she always wanted you and never tell you that you were unwanted, but the energy of being unwanted was there, and it is highly traumatic, and it really sets us up for a lifetime of disconnection, anyone who is in that situation. The thing about trauma is that it really incurs in our psyche when we are from ages 0 to 8 years old. Those are very formative years, and during that time we're not able to process and discern the information that we receive from the world around us in a logical way, because our brains are not yet fully developed. Therefore, from ages 0, even being in the womb, to age 8, everything that is coming to us from the external world, all of our programming from our culture, from our family dynamics, from our peers, from pop culture, etc., everything is just being imprinted on us like a sponge. And that's why when we grow up and we seek out those toxic and unhealthy relationships, those were just relationships that were modeled to us between the ages of 0 to 8. And some people might think that they don't really have trauma. I was actually one of these people. When I was in my addiction, before I got sober, before I went to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I thought that I was raised in a really good family and that I had no reason to be an alcoholic. I just knew that I was drinking a lot and I wanted to stop, and that's why I went to AA. But as time went on and I began to dissect the actual dynamics of my family growing up, I realized that yes, well, I did have a 2-parent household and I did have all of my material needs met while I was growing up. I definitely did not have my emotional needs met. There was a lot of secrecy in my family. We didn't talk about things. There was a lot of shame around very natural topics such as sex. My dad was actually a functioning alcoholic, so A lot of times when there is alcoholism in the family, like they say, you are predisposed to being an alcoholic yourself. However, the root cause is not something genetic. It's not necessarily a physical allergy, although it can be framed as such, but the root cause is trauma, all of those unprocessed experiences that we faced in our childhood. So if the root cause is trauma, then how do we heal trauma? Well, in order to heal trauma, we have to meet it where it lives, which is in the subconscious and unconscious mind. However, when people are trying to remedy things like addiction or any other negative unwanted behavioral pattern, they seek out the traditional means of our society, which are 12-step programs, talk therapy, and psychiatry. However, these resources, however helpful, are also very limited because they address our issues at the surface level. It's like a band-aid solution. It is symptom management, not an actual cure. An actual cure requires us to go into the subconscious and unconscious realms through largely meditation and inner child work and shadow work, where the trauma actually exists, so that we can heal it once and for all instead of constantly managing the symptoms. So if it's possible to heal our trauma at the root level, does that mean once we heal it, the symptoms no longer exist? Yes, that's exactly what it means. That's exactly 100% what it means. My own story is a living testimony. I went to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings for a couple years, and even though it was very helpful, it wasn't a cure for me. And this was very apparent because once I took the alcohol away, I was left with my feelings, and I had a very difficult time feeling my feelings. I really wanted to run from them. I wanted to change them. They felt way too big for me. I couldn't handle them. I sought the help of therapists. I was in the 12-step programs. I was getting life coaching, all these different modalities, and I was really at the end of my rope because the emotional crises kept happening month after month. And I decided that either I'm going to find an alternative medicine, an alternative form of healing to really get at the root of whatever is happening here, or I'm going to have to go on psychiatric medication. And I had been on psychiatric medication before, so I knew how it went, but intuitively I felt like there was more to life than that. I didn't want to be numbing out on medication for the rest of my life. So I ended up getting linked up with an alternative healer who showed me all this stuff about trauma and began taking me on meditative journeys to uncover the source of my childhood traumas, the source of my inner child wounding, in which I could actually go in and be present with those original feelings where all the trauma started. And I could also be there for my inner child, give my inner child that love and that support that wasn't available to me during the times when those traumas actually happened. And from there, I was able to do certain methods of subconscious reprogramming so that when I came out of the subconscious, back into the conscious realm, out of the meditation, it was like the root cause had finally been healed. And it really only took a matter of months for me of this method of treatment and healing for me to start feeling a whole lot better. Finally, all the things that I had been looking for in life: inner peace, emotional stability, sustained happiness, the ability to actually go after my goals without some form of self-sabotage or self-doubt getting in the way and messing everything up, the ability to actually communicate my needs in a relationship, the ability to have interdependent relationships, financial stability. All of the things that were really big barriers for me before are now just entering my reality very easily, because not only have I healed my trauma, but I've also dramatically increased my sense of self-worth, so that now I am a real energetic match for all the things that I really wanted to manifest in my life. So, could an alcoholic, somebody who previously identified as an alcoholic but healed their trauma and now no longer suffers with alcoholism, I don't consider myself an alcoholic anymore. not because I want to drink. I actually choose to stay sober still, but because after I really started healing my trauma, I would try to go back to AA meetings, the symptom management, the Band-Aid, and it wasn't giving me anything. It wasn't giving me life. Actually, it was kind of bringing me down, because it's like, okay, I'm looking for something that's a higher level than this. They say you can't graduate from the AA program, and I know this is controversial for me to say, but yes, you can. You can go deeper. You can go above the symptom management, and you can actually heal the root cause of your addiction. And that's what I've done. If I do attend a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous these days, it is primarily for the reason of fellowship or maybe to hear someone's story, but generally it doesn't do very much for me, because like I said, it is in the realm of symptom management, and to me that is not quite the same vibrational frequency as healing your trauma at the root level. There is a lot of, although we might not realize it or intend for it to be that way, there's a lot of negative programming that takes place in 12-step recovery. Admitting we are powerless over alcoholism, that's super important when you first start to get sober, but powerless is not who we are as human beings, as spiritual beings. Stepping into our co-creatorship, we are incredibly powerful. What we have to do is heal, because when we are broken, when we are wounded, we are definitely in a state that feels very much like severe powerlessness. But when we take our power back and we become the healed healer, we heal ourselves, we heal our inner child, and we step into a really high sense of self-worth, the sky is the limit. Anything is possible, because there is a piece of God, of a higher power that lives within you. So do I think that I could drink again? Probably, but I don't want to, because I enjoy being present in my body. Alcohol doesn't appeal to me. I love myself to the point where I don't want to put anything in my body that's going to harm me, and alcohol is a harmful substance in my opinion. So that's my information about alcoholism and addiction. If you are out there struggling, trying to stay sober, having issues with it, the symptom management isn't working, I hope that this has given you some insight as to why. Furthermore, if you would like more support around healing the root of your addiction and living a life free from alcoholism or any other negative unwanted behavioral pattern, this is precisely what I specialize in. I offer one-on-one sessions with my clients in which we can dive deep on a meditative journey to uncover the source of their trauma, aka the source of their addictions, and heal it once and for all. If you are interested in this, you can send me a direct message on Instagram or book a free consultation session on my website, chelseacora.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found value in it, give it a like, comment in the section below. I would love to hear your thoughts, and of course, subscribe to my channel for more thought-provoking, spiritual, inspirational content always on the way. Have a beautiful day.